So meet Hulk Hogan. Sad that he passed, mainly because he and I are the same age, which makes me even more sad. But let's talk about what his face has to tell us. Love reading faces of famous people, and he was certainly famous. So there are 9 face shapes. He is a classic iron face, strong, stable, stubborn. Give him a job, he's going to get it done, persevere, diplomatic, take anything to the end in things he's interested in. We also like to look at the right and left eye. The right eye is what we show to the world, our public persona, it's our mother's influence. The left is our truer inner private self. Very interesting here. When we cover up that left eye, what he shows the world, he's focused, but there's a hint of anger. That is significant. We're gonna latch onto that throughout this whole explanation of his face, what this anger thing might be all about. When we cover up the right eye, look at his left eye, his true inner private self, very tired, very empty. Now this is close to the end of his life, so he's just tired, and that's something that he probably was, in fact, very, very tired. So why was he so tired? If you look underneath his eyes, there's some puffiness there. As a physician, we used facial diagnosis to help us understand weaknesses in people's systems so we could enter in and do something about it. This represents kidney. Now, sitting on top of the kidney are some glands called the adrenal glands. There's some adrenal insufficiency here. There's greater puffiness underneath his left eye. This is referred to as unshed tears, and this has to do with a male. I don't know what his relationship with his father, his sons, if he's got more than one, or if he's just got issues with himself. There's a strong possibility that might be going on. There's also the cheekbones. When we see this kind of tuft of skin on the cheekbones, very, very diagnostic. The emotion of this is, in a deficiency, is despair. So there's just simply kind of a lack of joy here. It's not depression. Despair is different. Depression is, I'm depressed, this is the reason why. Despair, there's a little bit of a hopelessness component. With the guy as famous he was, you wonder what is hopelessness about, but you'll see it more than you think with famous people. And then notice how his cheeks, he got these deep creases in there. This is also very diagnostic of the same emotion, despair. It also tells us he's lacking something. Oftentimes you'll see this with smokers, and what they're lacking is oxygen. So there's just something there that I'm not comfortable with. It's certainly much deeper on that right side. So despair is the word that comes to mind there. Notice how deep his lines are. Mine are very deep, his are very deep. These are called FA Ling Lines, FA-Ling. Fa Ling means purpose and spiritual strength. This man was a man of purpose. My sense is, as his life went on, he probably developed some really strong spiritual depth of character. This is not uncommon as we age, the closer we get to that end. I think sometimes we think about what the next phase of this life is, and my guess is he probably dug deep into some spirituality. The eyes are significant. I looked at many pictures of him, and virtually everyone at this age, his eyes are red. So the eyes are governed in my world by the liver. And this indicates there was too much heat in the liver, and this is always some kind of toxin. Now, what would the toxin most likely be with him? It would be steroids. There's no way this man didn't do steroids. And if he denies it, I'm just going to disagree profoundly. Steroids will influence your adrenals. They create all kinds of problems with your ability to cope with stress. There's a lot of anger issues. So this is going to be more than multiplied when we look at an earlier picture of him when he was younger, before he covered his forehead. So his eyebrows were incredibly thick. Eyebrows are about temperament, and he's a very strong constitution, a very strong body. And so he certainly had that. It also indicates he's very impulsive and also probably somewhat domineering. He was a wrestler, so I guess that comes with the territory. So also the hair, when the hair starts to recede, as much as I don't like my hair receding, in my world, it represents there's extra drive and ambition, tends to be quite virile. I'm not making this up. I'm just relating what the books have shared with me. So my concern is he probably kind of poisoned himself a little bit. That affected his adrenal. Kidney governs bone. My guess is he's riddled with arthritis. I don't know how he couldn't be with the amount of activity he did. And then lastly, notice the tip of his nose. That represents the heart. It's rather bulbous. It's somewhat red. This indicates his heart had a bit of a problem. And my guess, I'm not sure, but I think he died of a heart attack. I don't like to read a lot about people when I do their faces, because I start seeing things that I don't want to see. Again, I do believe heart was a huge issue for him, and probably the weak link in his body. So that's the Hulkster. I will miss him. What a character. Hope you enjoyed. We're asked over and over and over again, can you read my face? The answer is yes. Matter of fact, I'd love to read your face. All you got to do is go to WTFWhyTheFace.com. Now, there's several options there. It's not a costly thing to do. First option is I can simply give you a written report. It'll be 7-8 pages long. I will read your face. I will go over psychological aspects, traits that are positive, traits that are negative, also some health issues. That is one fee. The second option is you'll also get a 7 to 8 page written report. Plus, I will physically call you. Questions will come up. I usually spend 30 to 60 minutes on the phone with you. Obviously, it's a little higher price because it's going to be more time involved. But a lot of questions will come up and you'll say, okay, I got that. But what does that really mean? And I can kind of explain a little more in depth. The third option is, again, 7 to 8 pages. I'll call you. But we can also discuss some options. If there's some things that you're concerned with, we can kind of point you in a direction. I can't physically treat you, but I can certainly make some suggestions when you talk to your own doctor. Pay attention to this or whatever it might be. So if you're interested, please upload your faces and we will be happy to read them for you. Would love to do it.